Kia ora, welcome. And today I am interviewing Matthew from Workday. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here at Digital Health Week?
Yeah, sure thing. So Matthew Graham, I'm part of Workday's Global Trust Office. What we're doing here at Digital Health Week is that we're talking about Workday, but the other thing that we're also talking about is responsible AI. So yesterday I spoke about responsible AI up on the big stage. We had a panel yesterday morning with AWS where we really spoke about the regulatory landscape, what organizations can do to harness the future of AI, which is number one, it's here, and then number two, it's certainly coming very quickly as well.
And you did a presentation as well on our plenary stage. Can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure thing. So it was about responsible AI and what we do as an organisation. So a couple of things that Workday does and the way that we handle responsible AI internally. And then it was also how could organisations that perhaps aren't quite as ready get ready and get prepared and start to do AI themselves. And what are the sort of regulatory things that they should be looking at, and what are the cybersecurity things that they should be looking at, what are the privacy things that they should be looking at as well.
Can you give us a sneak peek of some of those key points that you think people need to keep in mind?
Yeah, of course. So I think what's really key is that people do have that policy, that they've got those standards internally to be using AI and probably using it now. Because I think what will happen is that if a company doesn't and they don't have that, people just start to use it anyway. And they'll start to use it on their personal devices, they'll use it on their personal phones. And then you really start to lose coverage about what's happening within your organisation, how is your data and some of your most sensitive data. We're at a healthcare conference. There's patient data that could be looped into this, that really key, super critical stuff.
And you obviously have integrated a lot of AI already into the Workday platform. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so we recently announced Workday Illuminate, which is, I guess, our current iteration of what AI looks like. There is more to come. There's obviously a lot more coming all the time. I think AI products are continuously being built, but it can go as simple as how we're doing a job description for an individual. When you're hiring people and you're trying to, you're hiring a few people, if you're just hiring one person, one of the things that you always have to do is write out that job description, which can be a little bit tricky for some people to have to write out a couple of pages. What do we want and what do we want from this person? So by taking that data, that information that you already have, putting it into a job description, and that's an example, and one, to be honest, quite small example of the many AI services that we have.
And talking about responsible AI, what are your sort of internal policies about developing AI and then implementing it into your platform?
I think one of in our internal policies, looking at what is the risk. So what data are we looking at here? What's the sensitivity of the data? But then also what's the action being taken? So if you're looking at things, say like a hiring decision, humans are going to be in a loop in that decision in a really big way. But I mean, that pivots onto that we also think that humans should always be in the loop as well. It should be augmenting humans. It should be enhancing human performance when it comes to using AI or when it comes to using our corporate systems and making them better as opposed to just replacing humans.
And how have you found the New Zealand audience receptive to implementing, interested in hearing about what's going on?
Absolutely. Really super interested, super keen. I think it's a really energized audience that's here today. The talk yesterday, whenever I'm speaking, I'm trying to look at the crowd and seeing how people are reacting, lots of nodding heads, and I think people got that takeaway that they should be looking at AI, and I think that's indicative of a country as a whole as well, is poised to harness AI and to use AI in the future.
Great. Yeah, I think there's been a shift from last year. There was a lot of talking about AI and what it could do to really this year focusing on real world implementations and how you actually go about that and the policies, everything you need in place.
That's right.
And you've obviously got a platform that's used globally, some of the biggest companies in the world. How does having those global customers using the same platform as, your smaller customers in countries like New Zealand, what are the benefits of that in terms of, everyone's getting the same access to the same innovations and technologies?
I mean, the way that we operate is that we've got one security model that operates across all of the Workday services in our core HR financial products. But having every customer on the one version as well. When we do version releases, every customer gets put onto that one version. It's one source code pipeline, essentially. It just gives that scale. So you're getting the benefits of the things that we're doing globally, and you're also getting the benefits of the things that we're doing for our most regulated customers too. So we have compliance standards from across the globe, from Europe through Asia. We've got IRAP protected in Australia, which is a public sector compliance program. These all have some really high requirements. And by taking advantage of what is in those requirements, you can take advantage of those here, that you've got a really high bar of security. in fact, extremely high bar of security because you're taking the best out of each of these programs and you're applying them across the world to every single customer.
Great. And we know it's challenging times in health, not just in New Zealand, globally, but looking after our workforce and ensuring that they are safe and happy and that they can self-service where needed must be of increasing importance when you're talking both globally and locally about the Workday solution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people do want things that are easier, getting rid of that friction, making things easier in their day-to-day. There's challenges in their day-to-day work already, as it is. So by using something like Workday, which is easy to use, super simple to use, it's particularly for the end customer or the end user, it's for me it's easy. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's so important to keep our workforce from burning out with stress, isn't it? There's a lot of chat about that. Okay, and so just a key takeaway that you would like the people who've listened to you speak to during the presentation or your breakfast panel discussion. If they were just going to go away with one thing, what would it be?
I think it is be ready for AI in your organisation. Absolutely be ready for it. Get your policies in place, get your procedures in place. Start to learn about what it is. Learn about it, dive deep on it. Figure out how you can use it as well. Get these policies in place, get these responsible AI policies in place. So tell your workforce this is how we want you to use it. And then start to use it as well and start to see where it makes sense, start to see where you're talking about keeping your employees happy. So let's reduce some of that workload by using AI, but by keeping them involved in that process as well.